Well, they're saying critical times, critical situations demands critical solutions to them in order to make sure that problems are resolved. Well, you ask me that, then we look at the crucible that presently the country is into in terms of fighting insecurity. And there have been various ways raised by stakeholders, various concerns raised also in the light of finding a lasting way to tackle insecurity in the country. In spite of that, we're still having issues bedeviling that direction. Well, today we're going to be looking at interagency collaboration as a panacea for national security. And discussing this vital topic with me, starting from my extreme left, I have a human rights activist, Solomon Idiogbe. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning. Thank you, viewers at home. Good morning.
And next to him is a social media influencer, also the executive director of Africa Emancipation Project, and also the controller Edo State of Association for Formidable Education and Development, Osaige Godsent Erunse. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Well, back to you, Solomon Idiogbe. The rising spate of insecurity in the country has brought us to a point where we're trying to dabble into how to make it work, how to tackle insecurity. And now various stakeholders are also looking at the interagency collaboration as a way of tackling insurgency. Recently, the service chiefs came together closely under the leadership of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Loke Rabo, to say that they will work closely together. They will ensure that there's a synergy in tackling this ugly incident. What are your concerns in this direction?
It's not the first time we have seen such a meeting in Nigeria. It is not the first time we are hearing such a language in Nigeria. Once upon a time, the former chief of army staff had mentioned that they had tackled insecurity. In fact, he mentioned clearly that the Boko Haram has been defeated. That was his words, in his words. Boko Haram has been defeated.
You're talking about Burutai.
Well, he just said it. And in the end, what happened? Nigerians still saw that insecurity left even this, because when he came, it was in the southeast only, most predominantly within the southeast region. But now it's in the south-south, in the southwest, in the southeast, in the northeast, in the northwest.
You're talking about the northeast. Now we have it in the northwest.
The northeast.
Yes.
Basically. Now it's in the southeast, it's in the north, it's in the northwest, it's in the south-south, and it's in the north central. And it's all over Nigeria. And only a few months after, because when I say yes makes months, makes years. The man came back at his interview. The same Senate who had said he was not qualified were the same people screening for another position. And the man said it will take 20 years to tackle insecurity. Where am I going? The word collaboration, synergy, is just a common English vocabulary as far as the security chiefs are concerned. How well has the security chiefs tackled security in Nigeria? Now, the only place you see the Nigerian Army and the Nigerian Air Force collaborating is when they are doing the airstrike and they are doing the ground coverage. After that, there's no collaboration. In fact, there's almost no collaboration between the Nigerian Navy and the Nigerian Army. Yet they are the same, the Nigerian Army, system. Not to talk of the ones they regard, the one they regard as a female force. When you hear a military man talks about the police, he says it's a female. It's not a force. It's a paramilitary agency, which of course you and I know as the lead agency in terms of security in the states. Because the army is to protect the territorial integrity of the Nigerian state. But however, how well has the police been able to collaborate with the army, or the Air Force, or the Navy, or the customs, or the immigrations, or if you like the NSCDC? Let me tell you. Big one. Let me tell you if you don't know. The core mandate of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the one you call the NSCDC, is to protect federal assets.
Okay, but that also borders on protection of, as in taking a charge of internal security?
No, you see, let me tell you, when you say critical infrastructure and core assets, that's the core mandate of the NSCDC. And that includes securing properties of government and forest reserves.
That's the core mandate?
Yes, it's a core mandate, because forestry, for instance, is a critical infrastructure of the state. Yet, herders are ravaging farmlands. When we were growing, Philip, we used to have what you call forest guard.
Yeah.
Where are they today? If you go to Iyekuselu here, to go and Odiri, for instance, to go and fell tree, then you know that there is forest guard or there is NSCDC. But when herders ravage your farmland, the NSCDC will tell you it's a police duty. The police will tell you it's a forest guard duty. The forest guard will tell you it's NSCDC. It only goes to show that there is no synergy. So suffice to say, there is a large gap, a huge one, between what you refer to as the interagency collaboration or synergy. How many times have you seen the customs arresting and giving to the police, vice versa? If the customs, because when they arrest, they confiscate and put in their office. If the immigration were working effectively, synergizing with the Nigerian police, who of course is always referred to as the lead agency in the state, I am sure the issue of infiltration, if you like, you call it immigration, or if you like, migration. You understand? That's whether immigration or emigration, you would have seen it being totally checked. The only time you see is maybe you go around the border towns, you see them, carelessly check documents and all that. When they arrest, they want to do the bailing within their office. You know, when bailing comes, largesse follow. So these are the problems. Until I think that the federal government is just like the discrepancies between a polytechnic graduate and a university graduate. Most often, even our institutions do not value that much those who are graduates from the polytechnics as much as they accord respect. Let me tell you, if you are not aware, as an activist, we have had situations where you have an army officer assaulting a civilian over a civil matter, and you go report to the police. They'll tell you to go to the barracks and report. That's just to tell you that there is no synergy.
Okay.
Because in a normal circumstance, if you report to the police is able. We had an issue where an army or some army officers molested a civilian, beat him up to death, and the police, I can tell you, wrote to the army office that it's not like unknown soldier now. The army officers were identified, released officer A and B to Ross for investigation over a case of alleged murder. You know, that's how it is called. Till as we speak, the army authority says they are still doing investigation. They need to court martial and be satisfied before they carry. And when we intervene, they told us they don't release the officers to civil. They call them civil police.
Okay, I'll come back to you. It's very clear that because of the bulk of what you have witnessed as a human rights activist in the past,
and in the present.
Yeah, in the present too, makes you to think that this current collaboration within the military seems not to augur well, because the service chiefs did say that, well, this is going to be a different narrative. Now, do you concur with the human rights activists?
Anyway, for me personally, if you are to take your mind back to what has been happening even before this administration took office in 2015, you will discover that it's the same narrative, in the sense that there's difference between what you say on air, what you see on paper, and the actual the reality that we see. Don't also forget that it was in 2014 that we had for the first time a document on counter-terrorism strategy. We were able to come together as a nation to say, let's have a strategy on how to counter all of these terrorist acts. Now,
you're talking about the National Counter-Terrorism Strategy. Okay. Okay, that was established in 2014.
2014. In 2016, it was also
reviewed. Yeah.
You know. Now, what I'm trying to say in essence is, the situation between 2014 and now has not gotten better, even in terms of security. Then in terms of collaboration, which is the key discourse today, it has not gotten better. And if you part of that document, advocate for synergy. The truth is that you really cannot handle terrorism when the various security architecture or networks are not coming together, not just a paper talk. Because kudos to what Irabo is trying to do, but it's not new. Buratai took the same step. Both local and international synergy, trying to build synergy, trying to make sure there's this cooperation. And don't also forget that in his time, we also had some foreign bodies that even came to try to help us to see how they can, ameliorate the situation to calm down the terrorism act. One of the nations said we were not ready to handle terrorism. That was one of the main reasons why the Americans withdrew their troops. And said Nigeria is not ready yet to handle terrorists. Now, that tells a whole lot. So when we see the same grammar or paperwork playing out, for me as an average Nigerian, we want to see beyond media talks. We want to see beyond paper talk or having a face-up meeting together. We want to see the reality in the field.
Actionable solutions.
My leader here can, vehemently say that for us, we have a whole lot of reservations. Because presently, as we speak, there's already a social inequality between the army and the police officer. There is already an unhealthy battle for supremacy and relevance. Who is more relevant? Who is more needed in this fight? Which is unhealthy, because already at war with the current spate of violence and terrorism all over the nation. So what Nigeria needs is beyond just paper talk or media talk. We need to see it in the field. We need to see the immigration checking the borders and being able to give useful information to the army or to the police. Because as long as we translate from just addressing the media and say this is what we want to do into practical reality, we'll continue to dance around. That's the reason why I took your mind back to 2014 till date. This advocacy actually started before 2014, before the Nigerian government decided, okay, let's have a strategy. Between 2014 and now, one would have expected, like Buratai told us not long when he took charge, that Boko Haram have been technically
defeated at first. Later he said defeated.
Later on he said defeated. Now we are hearing it to take multiple years for us to... now, but the question is, has the situation gotten better or it has gotten worse? These strategies have been in place. Part of what was advocated was collaboration. We are still where we are. So, for me personally, I'm challenging the army chiefs and also other security agencies to put aside personal differences. Don't also forget, there's also the issue of where some of these security agencies feel marginalized. They feel that they are not being taken serious enough by the government. Because I remember one time, one of the security agencies were complaining, when you hear money is voted into security, most times the army tends or seems to take the lion's share. National donation, let's raise money for ammunition. And there is this bias. So when they come together on here and they tell you we're going to collaborate, then what happened internally? These are the issues.
Okay.
And that's the reason why instead of the situation getting better, it has gone from bad to worst. And this is our reality today.
Okay, looking at what you just said, like what you also said, is sum up to having the reason for this lack of collaboration has been lawlessness and neglect, corruption. Now, how do we tackle this head-on? How can we make it a different narrative? Because you have just been saying that there seems not to be a change. Now, how do we evolve a change?
It starts from leadership. There's a difference between being a leader and having a political will to drive. When you are a leader, the buck stops on your table. You don't complain. You don't say, Peter didn't do it well, that's why I'm failing. It is true that the Nigerian system had both political, economic, social, and security issues before the takeover in 2015 by this administration. But I can tell you categorically that nothing has changed. If anything, it has gone from good to bad, and even from bad to worse. In 2015, you could sleep in your house with one eye closed. And sometimes for an hour, you could sleep with your two eyes closed. But now, you barely can even lie down, let alone sleeping. It's either, because when you hear headers, they're everywhere. When you hear headers around your area, fright grips you. Because perhaps of the rumors or the gory pictures you have seen over what they are capable of doing. Yet, nothing is being done. Let me tell you, the only way out is for government not to leave gap between promises and performance. Because over the years, we have seen that there have been serious gap between promises and performance. In fact, when they goof, you hear the media aides of either the president or the governor, as the case may be, coming to say the president did not say. I just saw one recently say president did not say I will make $1 equal to $1. President did not say I will reduce fuel pump price. But this is a part of your campaign promises that you made, directly or indirectly. Some were written in black and white. So there must be leadership. If there is discipline from top, it will trickle down to the bottom. This bottom-top approach will not work. You ask me, what do I mean by bottom-top approach? The government sitting at the top level wants a citizen to comply with their directive while they are doing something different. I'll give you a practical example. 3 tiers of government. 3 tiers. The federal, the state, and the local government. The first 2 tiers are autonomous. The down one that is close to you and I, Phillips, is not autonomous. Yet, on paper, by judicial pronouncement, they are autonomous. But in actual fact, you and I know that they are just an appendage of the second tier of government. Because the second tier succeeded in tearing them apart. Now, let's also go to the 3 arms of government. The first arm, as you now may say, because as it were, there's not supposed to be first, second, or third arm. The executive seems to be the first arm of government now. Whereas the legislators are supposed to be the first arm because they prepare the laws. The second is the executioners, which is the executive of the law. And the third is supposed to be the judiciary who interprets the law. That is why being the third arm of government, we say is the hope of the common man. Because when the first and the second arm of government squeezes you
and derail
out of their rules, the third arm is supposed to look at it,
put them on check,
and put them on check. But today, the second arm has become the first arm and has squeezed life because there's no judicial independence or judicial autonomy. Neither is there legislative autonomy or legislative independence. Now, where am I going? You ask me, how does that correlate with the issue of security or insecurity? A man who knows that he cannot do his work effectively well, because if he does it, impeachment is awaiting him. We do what? He dances to the table. You understand? And even when they are doing what is wrong, he begins to tell you it is right. It's part of insecurity. The common man cannot run to the legislative arm to complain. Let me tell you, do you know that the word impeachment just exists on paper in Nigeria? It does not exist in actual fact. How many governors have been impeached in recent times? Or how many presidents in Nigeria have you had has been impeached? Or they've not done impeachable acts? I'm not inciting the legislators against the executive, but I'm saying there are 3 distinct arms whose roles are not supposed to cross paths or marry. They are supposed to checkmate each other. Now, no, they are being squeezed. So it takes us back to the what can be done.
So that's a major setback in terms of this collaboration.
So the legislators must do legislative duties well, the executive must execute properly, and the judiciary must adjudicate properly. And now, that is the only way we can get people building trust. Let me tell you, what has created insecurity in Nigeria? Ask them. I heard headers recently saying that the federal government does not care about their security. That's why they are carrying AK-47. And now, what are they expecting Philip to say? Who is a local government of his own? He pays for his electricity bill. He pays for security. He pays for water. He pays for transportation. He's everything for himself. he also does not have job security. Yet, somebody who can navigate through the length and breadth of the Nigerian state in the name of nomadic farmer is telling you that the federal government does not care. So, where does it start? The federal government must show leadership and give leadership, and must be able to hold those who are entrusted with authority accountable for their job.
Okay.
If you don't do that, you will not get anywhere.
Okay, looking at the sensitive aspect of intelligence gathering and even the police constables and the aspect of ensuring that the police communities, policing takes a vital point in terms of making this security work. What do you make of the NSCDC, like he just said? The police constables, for instance, the local vigilantes, coming together for a synergy. Don't you think that also is the way out?
Let me borrow from the word of J.C. Masford. He said everything rises and falls on leadership. You see, let me quickly say this to you. The people that are leaders or the heads of these various agencies, security agencies, are humans. And they are also watching the direction of the government. Part of the reason why you noticed that in the public, you can see these guys over the years, they have come to say, we are working together. But really, they are really not working together. It's because sometimes we erroneously see that credit is being given to one side, one agency.
Yeah.
Okay.
One agency is being overrated above the other. One agency, when it comes to, ammunition, are being well equipped nationally, even as Senate and as representative. There's so much money allotted to them to say, we need to buy this and acquire this. But have you ever tried to pay a visit to our local divisional police station? Even an area command has one vehicle that is even begging for survivor. In order for that particular command or area division to be able to carry out its duty effectively. One time I was privileged to be in a security meeting, and I asked a certain DPO, why are we having these whole issues? This is your jurisdiction. The kidnappers are there. They are all there. You know where they it's not a spiritual place they take their victim to. It's a natural place, as in it's somewhere you and I know. So what stops you from invading? When you get an intelligent report that, hey, they just kidnapped somebody along with our tree road. So what stops you from mobilizing your men and going? And the next question is, with what ammunition? With what gadgets? Where is even the mobility in the first place? To even be able to take away these people from the station even to the actual place. Where are the necessary gadgets that are needed? But what we keep on saying is, one agency is being overrated, is being put on top another agency, which is an error of government. Because when people suspect that no matter the success that is recorded in our strive or bid or fight against terrorism, all the glory goes to the army, for example, then their spirit is broken. They feel like, okay, there's no need even contributing. Let's see how they will succeed, since they are the only one taking the lion's share. So we have to begin to look at how to promote social equality, because there is so much social inequality among the various security agencies. And please let me quickly say this. One actually cannot survive without the other. The different security agencies are so powerful and sensitive that one of them, no matter how minute you think they may be, can truncate the effort of another. Just imagine, maybe you have an immigration officer or a custom officer that is not so pleased with the way they have been handled over the years. Then imagine if there is an important information or tip-off to give to the army. Now, some of them will decide to say, no, I won't, because if I give that information to the army and I get that job done, the glory will go to the army. The government will recognize the army. So part of the problem we are having is that over the years, successive governments have promoted social inequalities. Then again, we now have to look at the issue of accountability. That is another very germane issue, because sometimes you hear that, billions of naira have been voted to this and that. How are this money being engaged practically? And a whole lot of time, there is no accountability. Now, that is also taking me again into the issue of security votes. How many governors today can come out and say, this is the accountability for my security vote? From that monthly security vote, which amounts to hundreds of millions, sometimes even billions in some cases, in our present-day Nigeria, how much of that money goes to the police? Why will a state government have a security vote as high as 500 million? and the police cannot get half of that, and the government is not accountable to anybody. The law somehow protected them from giving account. A governor can wake up and say that security vote is no longer enough for me, I've increased it, and yet a policeman is complaining that he does not have mobility. For him to go to the road to check, he has to hire and charter his own, maybe Audi or bus, and fuel his car. Okay, now these are all psychological effects, and that's the reason why over the years our gallant soldiers, military men, both in the police force and different agencies, have their motivation, their morale being down than play upon, because they feel like the system itself marginalizes them, does not really give them effect.
Thank you. How to build this collaboration among agencies is the crux of today's discussion that is seen as a panacea for national security. And I've been discussing with Solomon Jogbe, who is a human rights activist, and of course the social media influencer Osage Godsent Erunse. Solomon Jogbe, let's look at the angle where he just has been making mention of this whole aspect of the police force, and also just recently the IGP set up an investigation panel, that arrived Makurdi, and at present there's an ongoing investigation over the attempted murder of the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom. Now, do you think it should stop at investigation? What should be the next step? How should there be a synergy among the sister agencies? Because he made mention of the security vote, which I know you will also pay attention on. In spite of the security vote, there was an attempted murder. Now, talk about the masses. How do we go? How do we tackle this from here?
Philip, before I talk about the attempted murder and my view about the attempted murder, I'd mentioned in this studio once that it is only when security of the governor or his household is threatened that you see they wake up. That's when they tell you their state is insecure. And as for the IGP,
but Samuel Otom has been saying all that.
I'm coming.
Yes.
He's just 1 out of 100. Did you hear how it almost went? That is political, is this, is that?
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, I'm not expecting anything. Without trying to be insensitive, I'm not expecting anything from the IGP's committee. In this state, the former heir to Adams Oshomole was murdered in cold blood. To date. In this country, the Attorney General, the face of the law,
was murdered
in Nigeria, was murdered. To date. In this country, the former, what's his name? Governor of Kaduna State. You can call it brain clash, if you like, along the former security advisor during the Goodluck administration. Their plane crashed. Some person saw it as cold-blooded murder. Investigation was set up till today. What did you get?
The answers
You have just brought me. Why are you faster than me now? The answers panel. 5-point agenda was raised. Federal government told you they were working on it. How well have they worked on it? Then
but don't you think this would be a different narrative?
How can it be different narrative?
Because it's like you are being presumptive.
Let me tell you, it was Martin Luther King that said that the check that they gave to him as bank as bankrupt in the bank of justice. Now let me tell you one thing. It is not funny. It is not at all funny that a convoy of a state government. It happened in Maduguri. Zulu was attacked first time, second time, third time. Where are we going? Now he talked about intersecurity, because I'll come back there, but let me quickly just so that I don't forget. He talked about interagency collaboration and one overrated. Even the police is doing the same to sister agencies.
Yes.
I'll just start with the Costobora police officers as you see them today. Have you seen the inequality between the constabulary police officers and the regular police officers? Have you not checked? Have you not seen the inequality?
What are you bringing out from that difference?
He's saying, I don't know this man if he's if he goes into somebody's mind.
Yeah, but you ventilate it.
Have you seen the inequality between the regular, what you call yellow fever, and the regular police officers? Don't you see the inequality? Have you checked that the vigilante, so-called, that has been instituted or, arranged, have you seen the inequality between them and the regular police? Have you not seen on the road where they walk around with their long rifle, exposed to insecurity in their attempt to create security?
What should be done?
It's the buck stops on the table of government from your security vote. How well?
From a security vote? You're talking about from the what about the one budgeted?
Is security vote not budgeted?
It's supposed to be budgeted.
It has a budgeted security. So if you cannot take from security vote to tackle security, which other budgeted will you take from? Insecurity vote. Now let me tell you this. It was in this state we saw caption Wabazigan, Operation Wabazigan, and unserviceable vehicles were given to them. Vehicles that cannot be serviced. The parts are not readily available in the Welu market nor in the Viking market. Neither can you get its engine parts from Igu. That's the one you want to use to pursue. When we were growing up, it is Hilosys and later on Jeep, Forerunners. You know why those Hilosys were important? Because they have what you call auxiliary. Because when it enters into some area, it can beyond its smartness, it can override and catch up. No, I saw recently that the governor was buying Sienna to fight crime. Sienna to pursue criminals.
Okay, but you seem to be leaving the attention from the federal government.
It's the same thing.
Don't you think security borders more on the federal government?
I'm going there. You are just stepping on me. And when you ask, it tells you government does not have money. That police is a federal system of government. That he doesn't have rights to control the police. But when it is time to arrest people over waste management, defaulting, you take them to with the same police. When it is time to arrest people for the no use of face mask, you deploy 8,000 police officers that you have said you don't have control over. Who is deceiving who? Who does this one? So the point is clear that we have insincerity in governance. Whether you call it states, whether you call it local, whether you call it federal. The only way we can get there is for security vote to be accounted for to the people. When Adam Soshomole was there, just sincerely happened to have served in the Security Appeal Fund Committee of the state. We toured around the 36 states of the country, including Abuja. Then, this security issue was not this tight. We discovered that states like Rivers, Cross Rivers, Akwa Ibom had security gadgets in their Forerunner vehicles. They could sit there, open it up, and shut down your communication system. I mean, I'm talking way back 6-7 years ago. We thought that, very soon. Yet, still in this, he mentioned it. When there are places. Recently, I saw on television a community came out to say our community is not used for kidnapping. Yeah. Let me tell you, how well does security agencies do this? What you call information sharing? I can tell you that the director in charge of information for intelligence gathering in immigration and civil defense and the police are not working together.
Okay, for us not to lose focus.
We are not losing focus.
We are also looking at the aspect of the Benue State. The aspect where you already said that you've lost confidence in that panel.
I am going there again, Philip.
Okay,
I said let me put that aside.
See,
the truth of the matter is that because there is no intelligence gathering synergy among these agencies, the SSS, the police, the immigration, the NSCDC, the customs, the NDLEA. You won't get it. Now, is it not shocking that the cover of a governor, the in quotes chief security officer of a state, could be attacked and the governor's life at stake, where all informations, for instance, of the state is put on the table on a daily basis? You know that's the rule. They gather all informations and send to the governor and give. Yet the agencies, because in every state you have immigration, you have police, you have NSCDC, you have customs, you have all NDLEA. None of these agencies were able to have a prior information that there will be. But if Solomon Idiobe, Kola Mazi Sedokpayi, Curtis Ogbebo, and others want to raise protests over the issue of insecurity, they will hear.
They'll be locked up.
Exactly. There'll be a lockdown. Okay. But when there's going to be an attack on the chief executive, there'll be no information gathering.
Okay.
Does it not show to you, Philip, that there is systemic failure?
Okay, I think the purpose of this platform, the purpose of this discussion is to look at the way forward, you know, in as much as there are issues bedeviling it, but what is the way forward? How can we tackle it? I quite acknowledge your genuine points in this direction, and but let's get your view over what has transpired so far in Benue State, the attempted murder of the governor, and the IGP setting up an investigative panel. Do you seem to also suggest that you concur in terms of thought with the human rights activists?
Yes, Phil. Yes, Phil. Because the truth is, we don't learn from history. We have had several occasions. You just said about the Bauchi state governor, Borno State, sorry, that have been attacked severally, and several other cases. We see panels are being set up. You know, the most laughable of them all was when the Attorney General of this country was killed, Tindate, Dele Giwa. And what have you? Tindate. What we hear is, we set panel. Even the most recent answers, I'm aware, you should know that some of those panels have disengaged. It's only one or two that I heard that they brought reports to their state government. Okay,
what do you see as a decisive action to be taken in terms of the aspect of the banditry, you know, that is being seen as a challenge in terms of fighting it?
When a nation is tailored towards ethnicity and religious allegiance, I'm talking about the political gladiators. When the leaders of a nation have some special kind of sympathy in the name of ethnicity, then the essence of the social justice system becomes defeated. Now, what's the reason? Why is it that we have this spate of violence and lawlessness in this nation? Because I can tell you 80 to 90% of Nigerians have lost confidence in the judiciary. For us, the judiciary is just being seen as a weapon by the so-called politicians to achieve what they want. It was in this nation that a sitting chief judge was framed up and removed out of power. You know, without even being given a fair hearing. And we are all here, we are all watching. So the point is, part of the reason why we are seeing all of this, and we might see more in the days to come, is because to the average Nigerian, the judiciary have been compromised.
Okay.
The law is no longer viable, is no longer credible. Okay, let me give you an instance. There are some groups that have claimed responsibility for some of the issues that have happened over time. And to date, the leaders of those groups are still working freely in our land. Now, what makes you think they will not dare another attack? And I'm sure concerning the Autumn case, you are aware that a certain group have come and said they are the ones.
They are responsible.
They are responsible.
Yeah, a certain group.
Yes.
Why that was trending, why that was trending, some other political gladiators were saying the governor was lying.
Fine. Now these groups have come to say we take responsibility. Now, what have been done to those groups?
Okay.
Even if investigation have not been concluded, but for you to have come out to say we take responsibility alone is enough for you to first of all be arrested.
Okay.
While investigations are ongoing.
Okay, thank you.
We have this issue where our social justice system is compromised. Then again, there's another one that is trending now, which is legal oppression. I call it legal oppression. When any government, any of the tiers of government want to achieve their aim, and the next thing they do is they put a mobile court. I have a school, I run a school. Currently, I have over 10 agencies, 10 bodies, different government parastatals that come in the name of levies. And they come with a paper. If you don't give us what we want, we send you to mobile court. What kind of a nation is this? We seems like people that are still dreaming. Because if things continue like this, I'm afraid things are going to get more complicated.
Okay, but I think looking at the way forward in terms of finding a way to solve this issue is the purpose for which we are here. So in as much as we concentrate on the issues, problems. The problems, let's make more progress by also paying attention to the solutions. So what's the way forward in 2 minutes? Because recently we just heard on papers today that the president will be embarking on a trip to London, a medical trip. Do you see that as a threat to all of this in terms of the rising spate of insecurity in the country?
Is it a question or a statement of fact you're making? Because you and I cannot travel to UK, otherwise they will quarantine us for 14 days for attempting to either take COVID-19 there or bring COVID-19 here. I don't know if you get it. I just made sense. I don't know if I made enough sense. Now, these are the issues. We must take policing as a personal thing. We must ensure that we strengthen community policing. The policing system in Nigeria has failed. I may not be talking about the regular police as it were, as an institution.
But will it not be wrong for you to say it has failed? Because to a great extent, they are also, covering the lapses.
I did this. I said I may not be talking directly about the regular police force. Okay. I'm talking about the entire policing system. So it's not particular about the Nigerian police force. It involves everybody. Communal efforts. Because when you say community policing, I used to know that in those days, villages, clans have a way of securing their domain. They have a way of setting up their local vigilante groups. They have a way of doing their own local courts system. So until we go back to this system and encourage them to survive, we may never get there. Because the regular policing system, whether I call it the armed forces, whether the police or whatever, they have failed us. Let me tell you, there are some black spots let me not use Nigeria, in those states, for instance, black spots, communities that we know, security agencies, they know. But like as God Center said, if you ask them, some that we, by way of, because we are people who move every day, we gather information. By information gathering, we approach the security agents and agencies. They tell you we are aware, but we don't have the relevant requisite materials. You want me to use this charter bullet to go and fight insurgents? So the issue is there's a systemic failure. And to tackle systemic failure, government must be truthful, must be resourceful, must be proactive. Over time, the Nigerian government has only been reactive to the issues of the Nigerian people. So government must first by being proactive, and the people must learn to police their self, their community, and their family.
Okay, from what you said in a summary, where do you situate the National Assembly?
Well,
in terms of helping to find respite in this
finding respite, are there no laws? Nigeria is not bereft of ideas or laws. Yeah. We have laws. All we need to do is to enforce laws. I do not see anything that the National Assembly can do unless they want to legislate on the issue of how their remunerations can go up. The issue is about strengthening the policing system in Nigeria, and the buck falls on the table of the executive.
Okay. Okay, as we round off on that, and your comment also on the medical trip of the president.
Anyway, for me, my concern about that is the fact that very soon, it's already happening. About 90% of our young doctors graduates are already on their way out of Nigeria.
About 90%. I don't know your statistics you are using, because we have to be very careful, because we are.
You just saw president doctors are going on strike.
Of course, but do you know the percentage? So,
but
I think that is your opinion, not a thought that is already subject to approval.
It's subject to investigation.
Yes, it is.
Agree. But this is something that is in the public. You go to College of Medicine and find out how many doctors want to graduate and remain here. Now, why I said that is because over time we continue to see this medical pilgrimage. You know, and funny enough, the people we meet in these countries are Nigerians, more often than not. You know, it shows that, you know, so much still has to be done about our health system.
Yes.
Okay, so that aside, but conclusively, let me quickly say that
I was going through a report some time back where it was said that a huge percentage of the country's resources, you know, is spent on education in the UK. Looking at the huge amount of money that is being spent by individuals, you know, to take their children overseas. So I think this also comes to the podium where the government will have to take decisive action.
Philip, does that
you have the floor.
Does that promote local content? Does it promote local content? I mean, Gossett has just told you that he has over 8 agencies of government on his neck, paying tax daily. You see, let me tell you.
He has the floor. I'll come back to you.
I know.
I'll come back to you. He has the floor. You don't need to plan for him.
That transfers the body from him to the student and the family.
Okay.
Then let me quickly. You know, there are a whole lot of issues that time will not even allow us to dabble into. But the truth is, for me, I said something. The present day Nigeria is a joke. That is my own opinion. It's a joke because it's as if we are still yet to finish the comic drama. Everything is a joke, both in health and in education. You know, we derive pleasure in milking this country and empowering other economy, which is sad. You know, but what does it take to build our system? You see, let me quickly
but this seems to be an Herculean task because we keep discussing this.
No, it's not as Herculean
but we are not finding a way out of this mess.
Listen, it's not as Herculean as you think.
Okay.
See, Nigerians are intelligent people. Let me give you the Nigerian scenario. No matter how violent and how fierce a lion is, if its leader is a goat, all the lion will resemble the goat. That's the logic.
Character and attitude.
In character and attitude. For me personally, my problem has been the quality of leaders that have been governing us over the years. Because check around the world, Nigerians are making waves. But how many times do we see a Nigerian that really have the technical know-how coming to drive those systems?
But don't you think it's not just about leadership?
Let me give you
because even the impression you just read now, I don't want to say that is derogatory, but again, no. But again, we should be careful in terms of what we say here. But let's look at it again. Is it just an issue? No. Is it just an issue of leadership? Is it just an issue of leadership? Don't you think it has to do with also followership? Because to a great extent, laws are made, but they are supposed to be followed.
Okay.
And should it rest only on the aspect of the leadership? What about the followers?
Okay.
Are they making progress in that direction?
Okay. Now, don't forget, it begins with the leadership. I will tell you leadership because even the attempt by the followers to follow the law is being frustrated. Let me give you, what is the sanity of being a peaceful, loving Nigeria today? When I can kill, and after troubling the state, you will start calling me for ransom, for negotiation, and possibly suggesting that my group should be given amnesty. So what's the sanity? So when you talk about law and compliance, you can't take it away from leadership. See, the worst thing that has happened to us presently in this nation is our weak judicial system. See, great nations are governed by laws, not by religious inclinations. Nigeria is the most religious nation in the world. But check out, there are nations that are not as religious as we are. But yet, the level of legal adherence is strict.
All right.
You know, so these are the issues. And let me bring all these things home. I'll quickly want to say that it is important we give a legal backing, what the House of Assembly can do, to community policing again.
Okay.
You see, this is important. We can't do without that. You know, I also want to advocate that there is need for the state to become directly responsible for their own policing.
Okay.
This is important because a situation.
It has been a national discourse.
Yes, it has been, and I'm lending my voice to that because these are issues. You know, and let me quickly say this: our situation is not.
But again, there are also issues concerning having that implemented.
That's why I said we don't
because of the there may be attempts to use it for some selfish reasons.
As the federal system.
Are you not also afraid of that? Are you not worried about that?
For me, it is better we face the fear than to speculate or assume. Assumption is the worst form of, the lowest form of knowledge. We are only assuming. We have not tried it. But the one we have tried is failing. the different House of Assembly chambers is not working. Our system in government is overburdensome. So it's not working. So why don't you try something new?
Thank you.
You know, this is important. Let me quickly say that I think for now, we need to, while we encourage community policing, we should also strengthen our judicial system. And beside that, the government of the day should wake up to its responsibility. Kidnapping, banditry or what have you, is not as complicated and Herculean as you think. If we are able to separate politics from ethnicity and religious inclination, we'll begin to find a path.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Godsent, for taking our time to be part of this. And big thanks to you, Solomon Idiogbe. I believe you ventilated your points enough.
Well, it's okay. There's no time to say more.
Thank you for taking our time to be part of this. Well, much has been said concerning collaboration among agencies as a panacea for national security. But a lot is left in the hands of the government. A lot is left in the hands of the leadership, like the gentleman here just said. And there is need for the government to close in lapses, close in the gaps, in order for us to find a lasting solution in terms of fighting insecurity. Well, we'll push more discussions in this direction in the nearest future. Well, there's a, this way we call it a wrap on this discussion. It's still This Morning on ITV. Stay with me.